Independent researchers have been warning for years that COVID mRNA vaccines contain secret ingredients. And now we have confirmation of this claim. A deep dive into Pfizer's murky history reveals that they partnered with an Israeli to develop programmable nanorobots to be injected into people to alter their DNA, issue them with an IP address, and connect them to the internet. This may sound like wild science fiction, but when you see the stone-cold evidence that we've got coming up for you, it'll be clear that what sounded like a horror movie suddenly looks like a living nightmare for the vaccinated. Before we dive in, subscribe to the People's Voice Rumble channel if you haven't already, and join the People's Voice Locals community to join our incredible community and support the channel. Are the vaccinated already walking, talking human cyborgs, fulfilling an as yet unknown function for the global elite, before they keel over and die at the flick of a switch? That's the question that must be asked, following our investigation, which brings to light Pfizer's top secret and disturbing pre-pandemic work to create programmable nanorobots to be secretly injected into people to alter their DNA and seize the ultimate form of control over humanity. In 2015, Pfizer partnered with Bar Ilan University in Israel, who'd been developing these programmable nanobots. What was it that made Pfizer want to work with this university on their top secret DNA nanorobot program? Let's take a look at the 2013 presentation delivered by Bar Ilan scientist Dr. Ido Bachelet to a room full of pharma executives, demonstrating the programmable nanorobots under a microscope. Here he explains that one syringe can hold 1,000 billion robots.
So these nanobots have been envisioned in the past 30 years by people like Eric Drexler and Robert Freitas and Ray Kurzweil. Today I'm going to show you that these robots exist here in Israel. And I'll show you this syringe, which I brought from my lab. So this syringe has inside it 1,000 billion robots. So these robots are each 50 nanometers long, which as you can see in this slide under the microscope. 50 nanometers is about 2,000 times thinner than the thickness of your hair. Okay? And these robots were born actually 3 years ago in a research I did with Sean Douglas, now a UCSF professor. But over the past year and a half, in my group at Bar Ilan University, we've been developing and testing robots for a variety of medical and therapeutic tasks.
Remember, this presentation was delivered in 2013, meaning they had this technology for over 10 years now. Why was it kept hidden from us? Perhaps because they always intend to use this technology secretly. Let's take another look at what these nanobots look like under a microscope. Those who've been watching our previous videos will recognize that these nanorobots look exactly like the mysterious entities that independent researchers found in their investigations of the COVID mRNA injection contents under the microscope. Many doctors, mainstream media, and fact-checkers have tried to convince us that these vaccine contents are nothing more than salt crystals. Now we know the truth. They are DNA nanorobots. We know this because we have uncovered evidence of paid-off scientists admitting it themselves. So, what are these nanorobots? And why would Pfizer and Big Pharma want to secretly inject thousands of billions of them into unsuspecting human beings? In his presentation, Bachelet bragged about how they can ensure that they don't lose control of the nanorobots after they've been pumped inside human bodies. As Bachelet explained, the controller is connected to the internet like an Xbox, and the controller actually links these nanobots to the network. That's right. The nanorobots have an actual IP address, and they can be accessed remotely.
And the interesting thing is that because the controller, like the Xbox, is connected to the internet, the controller actually links those nanobots to the network. So they have an actual IP address, and they can be accessed from a remote device sitting on the same network. For example, my doctor's smartphone.
Now, here's the kicker. As Bachelet confirmed, whoever is secretly controlling these DNA nanorobots can turn them on and off with the flick of a switch and release payloads into human bodies. Hold on, payloads? Payloads of what?
So this is how the nanorobot looks like. It's built from DNA, as you can see, and it resembles a clamshell in which you can put cargo. You can load anything you want, starting from small molecules, drugs, proteins, enzymes, even nanoparticles. Virtually any function that molecules can carry out can be loaded into the nanobot, and the nanobot can be programmed to turn on and off these functions at certain places and at certain times. This is how it controls molecules. And so this particular nanorobot is in an off state. It's closed. It's securely sequesters anything you put, any payload you put inside, so it's not accessible to the outside of the robot. For example, it cannot engage target cells or target tissues. But we can program the nanobot to switch to an on state based on molecular cues it finds from the environment. So programming the robot is virtually like assembling a combination lock, using disks that recognize digits. But of course, instead of digits, we're assembling disks that recognize molecules. So these robots can turn from off to on, and when they do, any cargo inside is now accessible. It can attack target cells or target tissues or other robots, which you'll see later on. And so we have robots that can switch from off to on and off again. We can control their kinetics of transition. We can control which payload becomes accessible at which time point. And let's see an example of how these robots, for example, control a cancer drug. So what you can do is you can take nanobots, you can put the nastiest cancer drug you may find into the robots, even a cancer drug that's been withdrawn because of excessive toxicity. Okay? When the robots are locked and you put them in a mixture of healthy cells and tumor cells, nothing happens. No cell is affected because the robot safely sequesters those drugs inside. When we unlock the robots, all cells die because the cargo inside, the drug, attacks anything on site.
As vaccinated people continue dying in unprecedented numbers across the globe, it's worth asking what these payloads contain. Could the elite be controlling who dies and when, thanks to the DNA nanorobots that they've been quietly and deceitfully pumping into the bodies of billions of humans worldwide? If you listen to what Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla and his cronies, including Bill Gates, have to say, the answer... Pfizer's DNA nanorobots might sound nightmarish, but for those who've been paying attention, they're nothing more than Klaus Schwab's fourth industrial revolution being put into action. Globalist control freak Bill Gates has been working behind the scenes to computerize the human body for years. Did you know that Microsoft was granted exclusive rights to this ability of the body to act as a computer network? Microsoft was awarded US patent 6,754,472, which is titled Method and Apparatus for Transmitting Power and Data Using the Human Body. Gates also holds another patent, which he was granted before the pandemic. This one conveniently features the numbers 666. We don't have time to go into detail about these patents, but you can watch our previous videos, which went into detail about the disturbing plans of Gates and the elite to intrude upon our bodies for their own benefit. Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla is no stranger to the concept either.
I have a question about patient engagement, and you had touched on this before. All of these advances are amazing. But even if you make the greatest drug or the greatest wearable, there's no guarantee that the patient is going to take the drug, wear the device. So how are you thinking about technology to engage the patient?
Yeah. Again, maybe I will use an example. I think it's fascinating what's happening in this field right now. I mean, FDA approved the first electronic pill, if I can call it like that. So it is basically biological chip that it is in the tablet, and once you take the tablet and dissolves into your stomach, sends a signal that you took the tablet. So imagine the applications of that, compliance. The insurance companies to know that the medicines that patients should take, they do take them. It is fascinating what happens in this field. But of course, there will be an initial cost that someone needs to invest.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. knew exactly what was going to happen because the global elite have been preparing for the pandemic for years. As he explains, they left their fingerprints all over the crime scene.
Well, vaccines are magic. They can save lives.
Everybody thinks, when they hear, okay, you're going to stay locked down until there's a vaccine. And as Bill Gates said, a magical vaccine. They're thinking that, the vaccine's going to do what we've been told vaccines do, which is to give everybody who gets one lifetime immunity and no, major health problems. What are the chances they're actually going to get a vaccine like that? I would say 0. Here's what I predict. I predict you're going to be seeing Bill Gates and Tony Fauci week after week dampening expectations about the vaccine. They were originally saying it's a magical vaccine we're going to give to everybody and everybody is going to get immune. And they're going to say, well, actually only 80% of people will get it. immune, and then they'll say 70%, and they'll say 50%, and then they'll say 20%, but it's still worth it to have 20%, and they'll try to sell us on that.
All right, breaking news. Pharmaceutical giant Pfizer just announced moments ago that its coronavirus vaccine is 95% effective.
Meg, we should point out that Pfizer shares are up by about 3% on this news. Obviously, more good news there.
91%.
90% efficacy rate.
This is a great vaccine.
Great day for humanity, great day for science, great day for the markets. Check this out, because
it's got to be purchased, manufactured, and then there has to be money there for it to be purchased. And so the world needs to put up more money.
Their vaccine's efficacy against COVID dropped from 96% to 84%.
80% effective after just one dose.
Just a single dose.
A reduction of 75%.
Those lines go down,
which fell below 50%.
You can't even keep up with this because it's moving so quickly.
42%.
30 to 40%.
Vaccine provides just 33% protection.
We know no vaccine lasts forever, so the protection starts to wane a bit, and that's what the boost is all about.
And then they're going to say, well, the vaccine, it's not actually lifetime immunity. Immunity only lasts for 1 year, one season, and actually maybe not even that, maybe only 2 or 3 months, and then you have to get another one.
It may not offer protection for a lifetime, right? It's not a one and done. Booster, so-called third dose, it is confusing to people.
It really is going to be about focusing on getting that shot just once a year. Much simpler, much easier to do.
Don't worry so much about the number of boosters. Worry about when you got your last booster.
Okay. Is the CEO of Moderna, Stefan Bancel. What a blowout quarter. Congratulations to you.
Oh, yeah, we definitely think there's going to be a flu shot. COVID is not going away.
Tuesday.
And that's why we're also working on combining flu and COVID, so it's easier.
You are the COVID company then.
The new updated COVID-19 vaccine is the most...
And that's my prediction. No, and I could be wrong, but I would say 0. And all you have to do is look at the flu vaccine.
Well, thank you for illuminating all of this for us today. I want to leave on a positive note, but it's like, wow, we're screwed.
And that's the magic of this thing. But there's no doubt in the next 5 years, we can, we just need to mess around.
For those who still don't believe their government would experiment on the people, it's worth learning about the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, Operation Sea Spray, and the various depraved MKUltra experiments. For those who know where to look, the list is endless. There's also the little-known fact that the British government decided to randomly drop a nuclear bomb right next to 20,000 British soldiers, just to see what would happen. They don't teach you about this sick and vile experiment in the history books. Here at The People's Voice, we are determined to continue educating the masses, but we need your help.